Welcome back to Littles by Lira. I am so glad you're here to join me today. So, all of these projects are going to be using walnut shells, so get to cracking, get to eating, and let's get to crafting. I'm going to start off with some Admiral Blue from Apple Barrel and paint the inside of a walnut shell. Because I'm impatient, I used a hairdryer and dried it on the inside. Then I took some Royal Gold by Full Art and I'm painting the edges. Next, a little bit of white paint on a toothpick. I'm going to just dot the inside, and it can be stars or snowflakes, whatever you decide that they are. Then I have some Sculpey air dry modeling clay. Any kind of air dry clay should work as long as it's white. And I'm just going to fill in the bottom of the walnut shell. And you see here, it's really quite easy. You just kind of grab a little hunk and squish it in. It is my recommendation, however, that you close up the modeling clay, air dry clay between uses because you don't want it to dry out. After I got that in there, I took my toothpick and I'm just going to do a little bit of texturing by poking some holes. This will help smooth down the clay and it will make a nice texture to look at. Then I took some Pearl White, it's a metallic by Folk Art, and I'm just painting over the top of the snow to give it a shimmery look. You can skip this step, or you can add Epsom salts or glitter or whatever you like. Next, I have these little tiny bottle brush Christmas trees from Hobby Lobby. You saw it was $2.99, but of course I got it on sale for 50% off. And I'm cutting the top off after I measure to make sure that the Christmas tree will fit inside the walnut. Once that's cut to size, I just trim off the little tiny fuzzy things down at the bottom, and then I grab the base that it came on. Now, this project can be displayed two ways. You can put it on your Christmas tree, or you can just have it sit off to the side. I wanted to make the gold on the base match the gold that's on the walnut, so I just gave it a fresh coat of gold paint. Then I took my hot glue and I glued the little tiny bottle brush tree to the inside of the walnut shell, making sure to squish the pokey part down into the clay. And then a little bit more hot glue, and I glued the walnut shell directly to the base of the bottle brush tree. Look at that, we're just using everything up, barely any waste left over. After I got that done, I decided I wanted to hang it. So I took a piece of gold, shiny, stretchy cord, and I'm going to wrap around the base. And I'm just hot gluing it in there at the joint where the walnut shell meets the tree base. After I get it wrapped around 2 times, I took a little bit more hot glue and just made sure that the cord was secure. I will say this would be great with my little fine tip Surebonder, but I'm still out of hot glue, so Old Faithful it is. Also, you've seen me using these little pink finger protectors, and you'll see me using them throughout the video. Burning fingers off, not fun. Just saying, don't do it, not worth it. After I get the cord glued to the base, I'm just going to do a simple overhand knot and glue a loop to the top of the walnut. As always, it's an allergy day. Surprise, surprise. If you hear my sniffles, I do apologize. I'm not trying to be rude. This is me on heavy-duty allergy medicine, and can you only imagine? You really don't want to imagine what I actually sound like when I don't take it. But you see here, I just trimmed the ends of that knot and then put the hot glue directly onto it. Now, it was a little bit plain looking to me, so I have this bag of pumpkin-scented, glittery, miniature pine cones from the Dollar Tree left over from Thanksgiving and Halloween harvesty stuff. So I am just going to hot glue these 2 little pine cones directly to the top to hide that knot that is going to be used for our hanger on the ornament. That's it. Next, we're going to make little baby Jesus in the manger. To start, obviously, we're going to use a walnut. I have these little tiny baby favors from Walmart. Well, Dollar Tree used to sell the babies, but I haven't seen them in a minute. So if your Dollar Tree has them, get them. If not, they're like $2 at Walmart for like 5 or 10. And I have a strip of, this isn't raffia, but raffia could be used. This is leftover piece of luau skirt. So I'm just going to take my scissors and just cut down little short pieces of the one strand of the luau skirt so that I have hay to fill my manger. There's our girl. Hi, Lira. She's watching me right now. That little jingle bell. Yep, that's her. So after I get all of my, what is now going to be called hay, cut down, I put some hot glue into the shell, and using those little pink finger protector things again, I'm just going to mash the extra hay down in there. I don't want to overfill it because, well, we do need a place for the little baby Jesus figure to rest. I have a piece of muslin. It's just scrap. It's 2 by 2 inches. And I'm going to glue the baby in there and wrap him up so that he's swaddled, because you'll find the baby lying in a manger wrapped in swaddling clothes. It's in the Bible. Look it up. So I just take a little bit of hot glue. Obviously, they didn't hot glue the clothes to the baby because that would be awful, and don't ever do that. There's my PSA for the day, ladies and gentlemen. Hot glue the swaddling onto the baby. Use those finger protectors to keep the hot glue from seeping through the fabric onto your fingers, and then place him into the walnut manger. I put him so that the pointy part of the walnut was at the bottom and the rounded part was up at the top. That just seemed to have a little bit more stability for his head to rest against. See here, I just folded the bottom part in under the baby and a bead of hot glue down the back to keep him nicely secured inside. Now, when you are done doing this, I'm going to grab a piece of twine, do the overhand knot, and burn it. You do not have to burn your twine. I like to do it. I think it looks a little bit more finished, but if you are uncomfortable, please don't do it. If you are a child, definitely don't do it without adult supervision. And hey, look at that. 2 PSAs in one video. I am on a roll. So anyway, overhand knot, trim the edges, or the tails of the knot, and burn the fuzzies off. You know, simple and piece of cake. Next, take a little bit of hot glue and glue the knot of the twine to the top of the walnut shell, like so. And again, just to disguise it, I'm just going to take a little bow made out of the same twine, fuzzies already burned off, and just glue that over the front of the knot. And I think he looks really sweet. I have done this before with milkweed pods, and I love it. If you have access to milkweed pods, I recommend trying it. It's adorable. And you can always use just regular school glue and make this a family craft. Finally, we're going to bust out the polymer clay and do the Holy Family in a nutshell. I've got a light flesh tone, and I'm just going to break it up into 3 pieces, one of them being smaller than the other 2, as that will be the head for the baby. Then I'll just make a little tube, rolling it between my hands, and squish it on. This one's a forest green, and he's going to be Joseph. I have light blue, and of course Mary, since she's always shown wearing blue. Hey, fun fact, in France, you ever hear them say "sacré bleu" on a TV show when they're exclaiming? It means sacred blue. They're basically taking Mary's name in vain. You know, for what it's worth. Or her clothing, I guess. Okay, so I've got the little peg people made now. And I'm just going to take my tissue blade and make the flattened sheet of green clay, basically a rectangle, and I'm just going to wrap it around the body of the Joseph figurine to, become the headpiece. And, just play with this, guys. You can do any color you want. You don't have to do green, blue, white like I did. You can do them all in brown or, whatever makes you happy. I just like green for Joseph. My son, Joseph, his favorite color is green, so it works for me. And then you always see Mary in blue, so that works for me. And, baby Jesus, pure, spotless, holy, in white. So there's my reasoning behind it. If you do any different colors or have different reasonings, please let me know. I'd love to hear it. Just drop me a comment. So I have Mary, I have Joseph done. And then I am going to take a little piece of brown and roll it into a nice long snake. And this is going to turn into Joseph's staff. And after I put Mary in there, I'm going to put Joseph beside her and put the staff alongside him. And make sure to squish them down into the walnuts so that they don't fall out. If you're concerned about them falling out, you can use the translucent liquid Sculpey to hold them inside the shell. But I find with all the texture that's inside of the nutshell, they don't seem to want to fall out. The clay conforms to it, and then once it's baked, you've got a hard layer of plastic holding them inside. But you do you. Finally, I'm going to make the little baby Jesus figurine. So I've got my little tiny ball of flesh-colored clay and the white, and I'm just going to do the same thing that I did for the Mary and Joseph. Here, I'm just using a baby wipe to clean off my tile because white loves to pick up every single color and piece of lint in a 10-mile radius. So just do your best to keep your clay as clean as possible for this step. You see, I'm wrapping the baby with the clay, and then I just twist the bottom off. It gives it a fabric-y look, in my opinion. And then squish him over the top of Mom and Dad. Once you have him in place and now you like him, it is time to do the baking. Oh, wait, sorry, I forgot. Roll out a piece of yellow and grab yourself your star-shaped cookie cutter because, that's how everybody found the baby. Cut out a star, and I have some gold pigment powder. You can also use eyeshadow and get it at the Dollar Tree. Save yourself some cash. And eyeshadow brush, and I'm just going to brush the gold over top of the yellow. This is also pretty if you take white as your base color or black. The gold really takes off, but I just want a little bit of shimmer. Then here's the translucent liquid Sculpey since I'm trying to bond a thin piece of clay to the outside of the shell. I use the TLS to hold it in place. Bake according to your packaging instructions. And after it's cool, it should look like this. I did another simple overhand knot with a piece of thin white ribbon, and I'm going to glue that up at the top just behind the star. And you see I have a little tiny white bow right there under my hand. I'm going to glue that to the very front just under the baby. Because, babies and bows, and they go together, in my humble opinion. So I really hope you enjoyed today's crafts. I'm going to try and get some more uploaded here soon and start filling your notifications as long as you hit that bell. If you do like what you saw, please hit the subscribe and give me a like and come back and see me some more.